It's going to be a lightning talk at lightning speed. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to try and tell you a little bit about how we're managing to scale at Gousto. A little bit of context. Gousto is a recipe box company. So what we do is we come up with delicious recipes. We send them out with perfectly measured ingredients so that they can be cooked at home with zero food waste. At the moment, we're the market leader in the recipe box space, and we send out about 2.5 million meals a month to our customers. Gousto is also growing really fast. We're one of the fastest growing companies in the UK. We've gone from 4 people to 500 people over the course of 7 years, and we're expecting to double in size in the next 3 years. So we're growing really fast. This is really exciting. Also, we're growing really fast. It's actually really scary because everything is getting much harder to do. The organization is bigger. It's more complex. We're doing more things. It's harder to figure out what we should be doing, who's doing what, and whether or not it's succeeding. So what I'm going to try and tell you about in the next couple of minutes is what are some of the things that we're doing in order to be able to be more effective as we get bigger. Right now, fundamentally, we're experiencing growing pains. It's hard now. It's going to get much, much harder. And consequently, figuring out how we scale has been a really big preoccupation at Gousto this year. When we talk about scaling and the challenges of scaling, there's 3 specific areas that we focus on. One is team structure. So how do we organize ourselves? One is alignment. So how do we focus? How do we prioritize? How do we make sure we're all pulling in the same direction, not different directions? And how do we operate? What does our business process look like? Fundamentally, how do we plan and how do we execute? So if we rewind to the beginning of the year, what did we look like? This is probably pretty familiar to most people out there. Nothing very radical about this structure. We have business functions, and then within product and technology, we're organized into cross-functional squads, which sit in tribes, which in turn are aligned to different business functions and different stakeholders. Pretty straightforward stuff. How were we aligned? So we had a strategy and a budget, and that was distilled into an annual plan, which in turn is translated into OKRs for teams and squads to use at a local level. On paper, this looks quite simple, looks like it should work quite well. Actually, a couple of problems with it. Firstly, the annual plan, very much focused on output, focused on deliverables and specific projects. Also attached to fixed timelines, means it's quite hard to adapt. It's quite inflexible. We also had a problem in that we've overcommitted. So we planned lots of really exciting customer growth initiatives without really understanding how much investment we need to make in our technical platform and our operational platform. In other words, enabling us to actually sustain all of that growth. Lower down at the OKR level, like most organizations, Gousto had teething troubles when it first started rolling out OKRs. So first of all, they tended to be top-down, not top-down and bottom-up. Again, they were very output-focused. They were really about deliverables rather than specifying outcomes. Once we had OKRs in place, they weren't visible, they weren't tracked, we didn't talk about them, and we didn't measure them. So very much guilty of setting them and then forgetting them. How do we operate? So in line with the annual plan and lots of different projects that we were going to deliver, the natural way to manage that was through lots and lots of project steercos. At an individual level, a project steerco might be quite effective in terms of making sure that project gets delivered. Where steercos aren't great are in terms of managing the overlap, not necessarily between the projects, but between individuals and teams that are having to support more than one of those projects. So fundamentally, this hasn't really been working that well for us. It's starting to feel quite painful. So the first evolution. So this was really focused on improving alignment. We didn't do a huge amount in changing the fundamental team structure, but what we did do was roll out some changes at the management team level. What we created were these 3 cross-functional operating boards. One, customer experience, focused around long-term strategic initiatives. Trading board focused around the short-term growth initiatives that are going to help us hit budget. And then finally, the foundations board. So that's about our operational capability and capacity, the investment in the technical platform, the investment in the operational platform. What these operating boards did was start taking responsibility for defining the direction for the rest of the organization, for creating that alignment. And they did this through using the OKR framework, objectives and key results. So each operating board came up with its top 5 stack rank priorities. That gave us 15 altogether, which we then whittled down into a list of 5. That set the direction for the entire organization for the next 6 months. Teams and squads at a local level were then able to set their own quarterly objectives in line with those higher level objectives. The other critical thing at this point was the quality of OKRs dramatically improved. They went from being output focused and specifying deliverables to specifying outcomes. And once we had them in place, they were visible to everyone, they were tracked, they were measured, and they were talked about at regular intervals. So dramatic improvement in terms of alignment, focusing on the value we're trying to achieve, not getting lost in the tactics. Operating was still a problem though. Alongside all these project steercos, we had all these other different meetings mushrooming up. Huge meeting overhead, lots of overlap between meetings, lots of documentation being produced for all these meetings. But in spite of all this communication, people still saying, we don't really understand what's going on. We don't understand why certain decisions are being made and certain trade-offs have been made. So definitely better in terms of alignment, but still not where we want to be in terms of how we operate. The second evolution is actually a work in progress as we speak, so I can't tell you whether all of this has worked or not worked, but what I can tell you is what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what we think the benefits are going to be. Firstly, you're going to think very differently about how we're organized and what our structure is like. Up until this point, this idea of cross-functional tribes has been very much a tech construct. We now want to make this an organizational construct. So take the entire organization and organize ourselves into 4 smaller cross-functional units, each with a very specific focus. Smaller group of people with a more focused set of outcomes. For each tribe, there will be a dedicated operating board. Again, that's made up of management team members, and again, it's cross-functional. The existing operating boards that focus on strategy and trading, they won't disappear, but they will operate more as guilds. So they're a good way of getting visibility and alignment across the different tribes. They can challenge and they can influence and they can make sure nothing is falling between the gaps, but ultimately the tribes will maintain autonomy over what they're going to do. We'll continue to use the OKOur framework to specify the outcomes that we want to achieve, but this time the tribe operating boards will set OKRs for their specific tribes, and then the teams and squads at a local level will continue to set their own on a quarterly basis. The other big change we want to make is around how we operate. So we did a big meeting audit, identified all these different overlapping meetings, and we want to cull a whole load of them and replace them with a simple monthly check-in. I'll tell you a little bit more about check-ins in a moment. It's something we've trialed really successfully in product and tech as a way to communicate with stakeholders. Again, we now want to take this from being a technical thing to an organizational thing. So check-ins between tribe members and the tribe operating board, and between the tribe operating boards and the leadership team. So a flow of communication up and down the organization. So what is a check-in? Check-ins are based around OKRs. Fundamentally, they're about figuring out where it is we're trying to get to. Are we on track? What's working and what's not working? So we can talk about what we have been doing, how successful that's been, but also discuss the tactics we want to use in the future. So this provides great visibility for everyone, and it's also an opportunity to influence and challenge. The other thing we use check-ins for is to raise impediments. So individual teams can talk about the things that are slowing them down, the things that are getting in the way, the things that are stopping them achieving the outcomes that we're looking for. Who's involved? So at a tribe level, tribe operating board and representatives from the teams within the tribes, or likewise between the tribe operating board and the leadership team. When does it happen? It's really lightweight. It's monthly, and we aim to keep it as an hour per tribe. We circulate a pre-read in advance, so everyone's got fairly good context of what's going on, and that hour can be used to really deep dive into the key talking points. So, in summary, what we're hoping to do is that by organizing ourselves into smaller units, it will be easier to focus and easier to align. And we will be able to make decisions faster with this simplified operating framework, and that's what we hope is going to help us to move fast at scale and also to keep delivering for our customers and help us to keep growing. Thank you.